The ZX10R versus the GSXR1000. It's a battle of the leader class monsters. Which one will win in 2025? I have to admit, when I first heard that Kawasaki was making a naked bike with the same engine as the Ninja H2, I thought it would be an interesting but niche product. That was until I realized that the ZX10R was going to make more power than the Ninja H2 did, or does. And so I became very interested. The 999cc, 4-stroke, 16-valve, 160 horsepower BRE is definitely one of those engines that has been around for a while, and has had a few updates here and there. But overall, it still remains pretty much the same as it was back in 2003. The ZX10R has definitely benefited from the H2's forced induction system and its supercharger, and now makes 210 horsepower and 112 Newton-meters of torque. Those are some insane numbers for a bike without any form of forced induction. The last update the Z10R had was in 2022 when they added a new TFT screen, updated suspension, a reshaped seat, a revised exhaust, and tweaked the engine mapping. As far as styling goes, the Z10R has aged quite well, but if I was to change anything, I would add a pair of LED headlights instead of the single headlight it has now. Personally, I prefer the looks of the older model. There's just something about the single headlight, the way the fuel tank kind of merges into the frame. The whole bike just looks very aggressive, but it's not all sunshine and rainbows. There are a few things I do dislike about this bike. For example, the fact that you cannot adjust the brake lever, which means if you want to use this bike on track, you're going to have to buy aftermarket parts to do so. Also, the fact that the screen is so low down means if you're a taller rider, then you're going to get loads of wind noise. When it comes to the spec sheet, the ZX10R is seriously impressive. It weighs in at just over 200 kilos, and it has a seat height of just over 800 millimeters. When it comes to the suspension setup, it's absolutely top-notch with fully adjustable KYB forks and a fully adjustable shock. For the brakes, we have a pair of semi-floating discs at the front and a single floating disc at the rear, with a single 310mm disc and a Nissen caliper. In terms of electronics, we get a 6-position traction control system, 3 different power modes, and a quick shifter up quick. The ZX10R makes for a great naked bike, perfect for both road and track use. With its powerful engine and top-notch chassis, it's no wonder why this bike is still popular after all these years. Next up, let's talk about the competition, the GSXR1000. This bike has been around since 2001, and it's seen a lot of updates over the years, especially in 2017 when Suzuki dropped the K5, K6, K7 inspired bodywork, new headlights, new windscreen, new seat, and new exhaust system. These changes really brought the GSXR1000 into the modern era. Last year, Suzuki released a new version of the GSXR1000 called the R. This came with a refreshed look and additional features like a bidirectional quick shifter, a 1000cc 4-stroke, 16-valve, 160 horsepower engine. Sounds awfully familiar. Yes, Suzuki and Kawasaki essentially use the same engine in their leader bikes. Both engines were developed around the same time, and they share many similarities. However, there are some key differences between them. For example, the GSXR1000 is slightly detuned compared to the ZX10R, producing 150 horsepower and 117 Newton-meters of torque. Despite this, the GSXR1000 is still a very capable machine on the track. In fact, many riders prefer it to the ZX10R because of its more linear power delivery and its lighter chassis. Now, don't get me wrong, the GSXR1000 is by no means underpowered. It's just that the Z10R has more torque, which makes it feel more explosive off the corners. Another difference between these two engines is that the GSXR1000 has a slightly longer stroke, which gives it better low-end torque. This can be beneficial when you're riding on twisty roads, as you don't need to rev the engine as hard to get the power down. On the flip side, the ZX10R has a shorter stroke, which allows it to rev higher and produce more top-end power. So if you're looking for a bike that will pull hard from the corners, then the ZX10R is the way to go. On the other hand, if you're looking for a bike that is more comfortable on twisty roads, then the GSXR1000 might be a better option. The GSXR1000 has undergone several updates over the years, but it's still not perfect. One of the things that needs improvement is the suspension. While it's decent for a factory bike, it's not as good as what you'll find on a Ducati or an Aprilia. If Suzuki wants to stay competitive, they need to step up their suspension game. Another thing that could use an update is the styling. The GSXR1000 has a very aggressive look, but it's starting to show its age. A new set of headlights and a new windscreen would definitely make this bike look more modern. Now, Suzuki did release a new version of the GSXR1000 last year, but it didn't really do much to address these issues. The suspension is still not top of the line, and the styling is still a bit dated. One area where the GSXR1000 does excel is in terms of electronics. It has a comprehensive suite of electronics that rivals those found on more expensive bikes. For example, it has a launch control, a bidirectional quick shifter, a tire pressure monitoring system, and a set of riding modes. These features make the bike more accessible to a wider range of riders, including those who are less experienced. When it comes to the spec sheet, the GSXR1000 is pretty impressive. It weighs in at just under 200 kilos and has a seat height of just over 810 millimeters. This makes it slightly taller than the ZX10R, which might be a problem for shorter riders. The GSXR1000 also has top-notch brakes and suspension components. It uses the same top-quality stuff that you'll find on the ZX10R. In terms of electronics, the GSXR1000 has a lot to offer. We get a bidirectional quick shifter, launch control, a tire pressure monitoring system, and 3 riding modes. All of this makes the GSXR1000 a very capable machine, but it's still not perfect. The GSXR1000 has always been a great all-rounder. It's a bike that is equally at home on the track or on the street. However, it's not as focused as some of its rivals. For example, the Ducati Monster is a better naked bike, but it's not as good on the track as the GSXR1000. On the other hand, the ZX10R is a great track bike, but it's not as comfortable on the street. If you're looking for a bike that can do it all, then the GSXR1000A is a good choice. But if you're looking for a bike that excels in one area, then you might want to look elsewhere. Overall, both the GSXR1000 and the ZX10 are great bikes. They're both powerful, they're both agile, and they're both fun to ride. So which one should you choose? Well, if you want the most powerful bike, then go for the ZX10R. And if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and subscribe for more content. And we will see you guys in the next one.